I'm live! Hooray! I figured it out! Hooray! Yay! Hi, everybody. Shonda Branch here. I can see that I am finally live. I apologize for the 4-minute wait, y'all. I have my little countdown timer all set to go. Good stuff. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Hi, friends. Whoever is here, go ahead and pop into the chat so I can see who all has come to visit. Welcome to my house, y'all. Good evening, everyone. I'll give everybody a second to get here and get settled. I see y'all rolling in. Hey! I'm getting messages from my friends. Dominique is in the house. Hey, Dominique. Dominique, you ready to learn about Kwanzaa? I love it. I love it. I love it. Hey, friends. Hey, friends. I'm going to be totally transparent with y'all and let you know I am in transition right now. The little one is coming in from school. I am streaming through this program and this software for the first time. It's a lot going on. But I committed my evening to you all, and I am super duper excited to share a little bit with you guys about Kwanzaa and everything that goes along with it. This is going to be a power hour. You hear what I say? It's going to be a power hour. We're going to get in, we're going to hit it hard, and then we're going to get out the way. All right? I know y'all will appreciate that. Good stuff. All right. Hey, friends. Y'all are rolling in. Y'all are rolling in. I see you. I know that 5 o'clock is a rough time for folks to meet. And again, in full transparency, I am so busy lately that 5 o'clock was the one place that I could squeeze this webinar in. But I am deeply committed to making sure that more of my friends celebrate Kwanzaa with me this year. And that means you need some lead time. You need to know and understand what it is. You need to know and understand how to prepare for it, so that by the time it's time to jump in, you're not trying to scramble and get ready. One of my coaches famously says, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. So that's where I'm trying to get us. I'm trying to get us to that point. I've got some really good information for y'all. I've got some real good info. I'm so excited to share this, and to also share some exciting news with you guys about Kwanzaa, and about how that's going for me this year. I'm excited to let y'all in on a few little secrets that you're only going to get here in this webinar. I'm going to give everybody one more minute. I always delay my start time by about 5 minutes so that everybody has the opportunity to come into the space, get settled. I know how it is when I am ripping and running and rushing and trying to make it. Sometimes I have to dig through emails and find the link. Sometimes I have to get a hold of stuff. And I want to make sure that everybody is on board right from jump so that we can get through this information together. I am thrilled to be with you guys today. I've been looking forward to this all day long. Mm, 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 mm. All right, friends, we are closing in on our start time. We are at 5 minutes after the hour. Everybody should be in their seats and ready to learn, as I would say in my classroom. So let's get started. Good evening, good evening, good evening to each and every one of you. I am Shonda Branch. Um, and I have the honor and the privilege of welcoming you to my very first webinar on a modern Kwanzaa celebration. So I'm calling this the Modern Kwanzaa Kickoff. We are at the start of the holiday season. We are at the beginning of everything, and it is tremendous when I think about the amount of time and effort and money, let's be real, that goes into a celebration of the holidays. And I understand as a mom where that comes from. And I understand what it takes to be ready and to feel prepared and not feel rushed. So today's webinar is going to be 1 hour. And I promise if you will spend 1 hour with me, engaged, tuned in, sharing, and ready to go, I swear you will feel like that is an hour well spent. Let's jump into it. I'm so excited. All right, friends, I am Shonda Branch, and I am a cultural creative. I made that term up. You may be asking yourself, what's a cultural creative? It is someone who works at the intersection of culture and creativity, who utilizes both for the benefit of the community. And so I consider myself a cultural creative, and I feel empowered to name myself in that way. We'll talk a little bit more about that a little later. I am also a performer. Some of you know me from the stage. I've had the honor and privilege of performing on regional stages, community theater stages. I have been involved in the performing arts, if I calculate it carefully, probably more than 30 years. So I have a long history there in the arts as a performer. I'm also an educator. I'm currently in the classroom teaching high school English, but I have taught performing arts. I've taught theater. I've taught dance. All of those are a part of my background. So not only am I practicing, but I'm also preaching. I'm an arts advocate. I've spent a great deal of time on the City of Raleigh Arts Commission, working to allocate municipal funding to arts nonprofits. I speak up on behalf of folks who don't always have equal access to the arts. That's really important to me, making sure that everybody knows and understands that everyone deserves to have access to the arts, because it ultimately changes lives. It's how we understand each other. It's how we understand the world. It's how we understand our culture. And if we are leaving people out of that, we are leaving people out of the essential functions of how this world works. But most importantly, today, I am a wife and mommy. I have an amazing husband, Corey Branch. He is, as a matter of fact, taking the little one on a little after school field trip to McDonald's so that I have this extra hour free to spend with you guys. Um, and I am a mommy to little Miss Sunshine. I love my baby so much. She's the cutest thing. Anybody who knows me knows that I talk about her all the time. The two of them really make my world spin. My wife, my my husband, my husband, and my daughter make my world spin. Sometimes they make my head spin too, but it's all out of love that we are even here today. They are a major part of why I got so deeply involved in the celebration of Kwanzaa and the exploration of it, and why I'm so deeply passionate about it. Back in 2020, y'all remember 2020, when we were thrown into chaos, I was searching for some sort of a celebration. I needed some happiness. I needed some joy. I needed something to look forward to at the end of that really, really rough year. It was hard on everybody. Um, and I discovered that Kwanzaa was one of my most fond holiday memories. When I thought back to, Christmas and all the cool things that I got to do as a child, and all of those amazing memories that really shaped who I am and how I celebrate the season, one of them that always popped up was a yearly celebration of Kwanzaa that I used to have with my friends and family members who were in Jack and Jill with me. And that Kwanzaa celebration, for some reason, was just always so spirited and so much fun. And I got to see everybody all dressed up in their amazing African clothing. And some of those ladies that I grew up around, could bang a head wrap, boy. They could get there and gay lay that thing down. That was the one time of year that I got to have my friend's mother's special dish that she makes. It's baked beans. And it sounds ridiculous, but like I would look forward to her baked beans because they didn't taste like anybody else's baked beans, right? It was family, it was community, it was culture, and it always stood out in my mind as one of my favorite times of year. And so when I decided that I wanted to celebrate Kwanzaa for myself, well, in 2020, there were no gatherings. In 2020, there was no way to get together. Everybody was still social distancing, and you were having to find a pod and stay in your pod. And things were really, really tight and really, really tense. And I knew that I had to come up with a way of celebrating Kwanzaa that year with my family in a way that was going to make sense for us. And so after looking and searching, I was positive somebody had an answer for me. Well, they didn't. It turns out that I was the one with the answer. I was the one who had a vision of what Kwanzaa could mean and what it could be in a modern context. And so I literally wrote the book, y'all. Um, Modern Black Mommy is the lifestyle and culture uh, influence page, I guess you could call it that. It started off as just a way to share what was going on with me and my child and my family. But I discovered that there were lots of other Black women out there who had some of the same concerns as I did, and they needed some of the same resources as I did, and they were having a hard time finding those things too. So I decided to nestle my Kwanzaa research under the umbrella of Modern Black Mommy. It made the most sense to me at the time, and it still does. So again, I literally wrote the book on how I was going to celebrate Kwanzaa in this new and exciting context. Once I found it, once I figured it out, I knew that I could not keep it to myself. Um, I just couldn't. I had to share with my other Black mommy friends. I had to share with my community. I had to share with anybody who also needed a little bit of light and a little bit of celebration at that time. And it turns out that it has been pretty timeless. It was well received. Lots of people also needed that and expressed to me that they were really, really glad that I had put something together. And part of my big news is that it is now available on Amazon. You can get this on your Amazon Kindle and have it at your fingertips, ready to go. I have also published the downloadable e-version, and I'll give you a link for that before too long. But I really want to give you just a little taste of some of the things that are included in that guidebook. It breaks it down in incredible detail. It gives incredible resources. There's a ton of information and a ton of activities and journal pages and games and ideas for decorations. There's a lot in that book. We are not going to get to all of it today, but we are going to cover the most essential things that you need to know about Kwanzaa so that you can kind of start prepping and figuring out how you want to celebrate this year and what it might look like for you and your family, for you and your community. All right, if you're ready to dive in, give me a 1 in the chat. Just the number 1. That's all I need from you. Just to make sure everybody's listening, paying attention, and tuned in. If you are ready to dive in, hit that 1 in the chat and let's go. I need some Kwanzaa music to be playing in the background. I need some drums. I need something. Oh, here they come. 1, 1, 1, 1. All right. Number 1, we're ready. All right. So here's what we need to know. I know by now you're like, quit stalling. Quit stalling. Tell us the stuff. You pull this, you call this meeting, you got this webinar going, you chase us down in the email. Please just tell us what we need to know. Here's your agenda. All right. I'm going to give you a much more formal welcome and introduction. I'm going to explain to you what Kwanzaa is. Then we're going to go through the 7 days, the 7 symbols, the 7 principles. And there's one way down at the bottom you can't see. That is the 7 pillars of Kwanzaa. You guys are going to get plenty of information. Grab something that you can jot on. If it's a handful of sticky notes or a fresh new journal that you want to keep just for Kwanzaa if you prepared ahead of time, or that same old journal or notebook that you've been dragging around for forever, now's the time to pull something out. You're going to want to grab this information. Okay, here we go. So if you are here for a reason, and it's all the right reasons. Number 1, you're probably Black. Hey, Black people. All right. And if you're not Black, you probably are an ally who loves Black people. Hey, allies. We got to have everybody at the party. One of the things that I found was a common misconception about Kwanzaa is that it's just for Black people, or that it's just for African people, or that it's just for certain people. Kwanzaa is for everyone. Here's the thing. Our allies come into the room and are going to bring their knowledge. They're going to bring their background, but they're also going to bring their understanding that this is a moment for Black folks to shine. This is a moment where we really get to express ourselves in the truest sense of that word, right? And we also get to just totally let our hair down and be ourselves. It's such a moment of authenticity for us. And the best way to be an ally is to know the people that you are working in allyship with. And so if you have a deeper understanding of Kwanzaa, you will have a deeper understanding of our culture, our belief systems. You have a deeper understanding of who we are and how we function. So welcome, allies. You are here because you understand that there's value in connecting to your heritage. You believe in the power of family, community, and culture. You probably have kids, or you know kids, or you know somebody who has kids, or you know somebody who knows kids. There's a connection to the children somehow, somewhere in there. And then finally, maybe you're here because you just love learning. You saw this and you were interested and you said, let's go figure out what Kwanzaa is all about. I'm open to exploring that. And if any of those suit you, you are in the right place. In the chat, if I missed one, if you are here for some other reason, then please, by all means, share that with you. I am interested to know how all of you got here and, kind of what your desire is in getting the material out of this webinar. So in the chat, feel free to drop me a little note about, hey, I'm here because, and then fill in the blank. While you're doing that, we're going to keep pushing. So Kwanzaa is, I want also in the chat for everybody to take a second and just tell me, what's one thing that you know about Kwanzaa? What is it? What do you know that you know about Kwanzaa? The other thing you can tell me is, what is it that you have absolutely no clue about? You're really, really curious about this thing. Chat me. Drop that over there. And as I'm looking at my slides, I can see that we've got some wonky slides in here. So while you guys are in the chat, I'm going to switch over and present from my Canva account. All right. Hang tight. Chat me. All right, friends, it's going to get a little weird here for a second. Bear with me. You guys are seeing all the guts. There we go. All right, friends. So, like I said, there are lots of misconceptions and misunderstandings about Kwanzaa. Um, I've heard some really, really silly ones when I just kind of bring it up in casual conversation. When people ask me what I'm passionate about, the first thing that they expect me to talk about is the arts, and that happens very, very often. The other thing that they expect me to talk about is my family, which is also a really, really good answer. But they never expect me to come off the top of my head with Kwanzaa. And I've heard some pretty ridiculous reactions. Um, and they always kind of throw me. But that's another reason why I am so passionate about getting the correct information into the world. Um, so Kwanzaa is a cultural holiday. It's founded in 1966 by Dr. Maulana Karenga. Now, if you think about what was happening in the world in 1966, or what was happening even just in the United States in 1966, it was a tumultuous time. Dr. Karenga was a young man. He was only 25 years old at the founding of Kwanzaa, and he was living in a world full of turmoil. If you think back again to what I said about the year 2020, you will remember that we were in quite a bit of political and social turmoil at that point in time also. Um, and so I always find that there is a direct mirror between the founding of this holiday and when I kind of personally connected with this holiday. Um, Nothing is for no good reason. And so I'm always struck by that parallel. Um, Dr. Karenga thoroughly researched and programmed what the intentions and the purposes of Kwanzaa were. He's very intentional about that. And so you will find that there are certain things reflected throughout the celebration of this holiday. It is a celebration of Black culture, Black history, Black family, and Black community. And yes, again, for my allies in the room, it is about all things Black. But we need the support of our friends who are outside of our culture so that there is a level of understanding, a deeper level of understanding, and the opportunity for us to show you the best ways for you to assist us, right? This holiday harkens back to the first fruits festivals of Africa that have been going on since time immemorial. Black people have always celebrated around a harvest. And I think that that is a cultural norm for others as well. Whenever there is a successful yield and you are bringing in the first fruits gathered, there is significant reason for celebration. And I think that it was very, very wise for him to harken back to Africa for African American people who were intentionally cut off from their roots, cut off from their practices. I think it was very, very wise and strategic for him to go back and reclaim all of that. It is celebrated throughout the diaspora. When you hear me use that word, it simply means wherever you find African American people or descendants of Africa. So you find Black people in Cuba, you find Black people in the islands, you find Black people in South America. Wherever you find Black people, you will find a Kwanzaa celebration. You might have to look for it, but I promise it's there. Okay. Now, some of the misnomers that I've heard: it is not Black Christmas. Kwanzaa is not innately religious like Hanukkah is a religious celebration of the Jewish people. It is not like Christmas, which is a religious celebration or a celebration founded on Christian principles and Christian beliefs. Kwanzaa is celebrated by all people of all religions throughout the world. Um, there is no need to choose between one or the other. You can celebrate Christmas, like I'm going to, and then turn right around and celebrate Kwanzaa, like I'm going to. I cannot wait to show you guys the whole thing. Be on the lookout for the TikTok featuring like the fast motion of the tree going up and then like the tree flipping to Kwanzaa. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. I'm so excited about that. So we now know some of the basics of what Kwanzaa actually is. Here's a quote from Dr. Karenga. The holiday then will of necessity be engaged as an ancient and living cultural tradition, which reflects the best of African thought and practice in its reaffirmation of the dignity of the human person in community and culture, the well-being of the family and community, the integrity of the environment and our kinship with it, and the rich resource and meaning of a people's culture. That sums it up. It's not just about gift giving. It's not just about getting together for good food and a party. Nothing wrong with either one of those. But there is such a deep meaning for Kwanzaa, a purpose to reconnect us to the things that we have lost or we have forgotten. So I want to maintain that although this is not a religious practice or holiday, I find that it is a sacred practice, a sacred holiday, and I connect to it very, very strongly for many reasons. All right. 7 days of Kwanzaa. You get 7 days from December 26th through January 1st annually, every year, those 7 days. It works out really nicely because Kwanzaa is celebrated typically in the evening, but in those days between Christmas and New Year's, you typically find, number one, that we're in alignment with other holidays and things that are going on, but also that people either are already gathered near their families. Many people are already on vacation. They're not having to report into work in many cases. It's a really convenient time. We're already thinking about and focused on home and family. And this is a way to sort of extend that and to really work our way into an intentional gathering throughout that time. So we get 7 days. Now, are you noticing that there's a pattern here? We have 7 symbols for Kwanzaa. And each of the symbols, again, because Dr. Karenga was very, very purposeful in his building of this celebration, everything revolves around the number 7. Everything revolves around the number 7. So there are 7 days of Kwanzaa. There are 7 symbols of Kwanzaa. Let's go through those. The mkeka. Say that right wherever you are. Holler out, mkeka, even if you have me like on earbuds in the gym. Just kind of look around and see what everybody does. Mkeka. This is the mat. It's usually hand woven of straw or fabric. And this is what you put down on your table or on your altar first. All the other symbols are placed on top of this mat. Now, this mat represents the foundation that our African traditions and our cultural heritage give us, those practices that come from those ancient people in those ancient times and have been passed down through the generations. It represents the foundation that lays for us. Mzao, everybody say Mzao. The crops, the fruits and the vegetables. Remember, this is a harvest holiday. We are celebrating the first fruits of the harvest. This represents that traditional African harvest celebration. And also it shows respect for the people who labor to grow them. I don't know if y'all out there do, but I don't have a green thumb. The only thing I can't kill is ivy. That's literally the only thing I've not been able to kill. The succulent lasted quite a long time, but even that succumbed eventually. I just don't have that touch. And so I have tremendous respect and gratitude for people who do, for the people who can grow the fruits and the vegetables that I love and need, for my own personal nourishment and for the nourishment of my family. Yeah, there is an art to growing. And let's not forget that many of our ancestors were brought here because specifically they had the gift and the talent and the wisdom of growing, and they were able to do that. And so they were forced into labor for their talent and their skill set. And let us not forget. Everyone say kinara. Kinara. That is the candle holder that you see. Now, buyer beware. I have seen things marked kinara, and they are not a kinara. How do you know? Count the candles. There should be 7 places for candle holders. You cannot call it a kinara in much the same way that a menorah, which is our Jewish brothers and sisters candle holder, that has 8, because they have 8 nights of Hanukkah, right? You can't just grab a discount menorah and spray paint it black. I've seen it. And spray paint it black and then be like, hey, yo, look at this kinara. Nope, nope, no, absolutely not, friend. A kinara is a very specific candle holder made for this. Again, the symbolism of it is harkening back to that 7s. There's 1 candle for every night of Kwanzaa, right? It represents the original stock from which all of our African ancestors came. So again, we talk about the diaspora and people coming to us from throughout the world. Wherever you find Black people, we all come from one African stock. And so that kinara is representative of that. And then it branches out into those 7 symbolic candles. The Mishuma Saba. Mishuma Saba. Now, those are the candles themselves. Again, having done my research and learned about what a stickler Dr. Karenga was in the development of this, I have to call it out when I see it. There's lots of imagery. There are photos, especially stock photos, and graphics, clip art out there in which the candles are misrepresented. I have seen a kinara full of red candles, or a kinara full of black candles, or a kinara full of, like these multi, like African sort of swirly, marbly. That's not right. It's not right. It's not right. Okay. And it's not okay either. The 7 candles need to be the correct colors. You have 3 red candles, 3 green candles, and 1 black candle. Also need to be aware of which side is which. You've got to go black candle in the center, your single black candle in the center, your red candle to the outside on the left, and your green candles to the right. Make sure when you are using imagery or when you are buying Kwanzaa greeting cards that are not made by our people. Come on, allies, you got to get it right. If you're gonna come to the party, you gotta do it right. Okay. When you are using imagery or finding imagery or buying t-shirts that have like Kwanzaa stuff, please, please, please be certain that it is correct. All right. Again, these are symbolic. The black for the people, the red for the blood and the struggle, the green for the hope and for the land, and the richness thereof. All right. The muhindi. Say muhindi. This is corn. There are ears of corn that we will place in addition to our fresh fruits and vegetables. Okay. This is a separate symbolic token, right? So the fruit represents the harvest, but the corn is specifically representative of the children and the promise of their future. Okay. Now, This is one of the most beautiful things about Kwanzaa. I get all like choked up. I collect ears of corn for the children who are significant in my life. So yes, my own daughter, I have one ear of corn, theoretically. Okay. But I also have my godson. I have an ear of corn that I always place for him and for his future and good wishes thereof. I have a nephew who is a an honorary nephew. Okay. I have two real nephews and a niece. I have lots and lots of children in my life for whom I consider myself somewhat responsible, right? Or totally responsible. And so I place an ear of corn for each of those children. I even have like the shellacked, it's corn, but I have the harvest corn and it's shellacked and everything, and I put their name on it, and you can see. So I've got a lot of corn. To all of my friends and families and mamas and honorary papas and uncles and aunties and all of my friends out there in the community who do not have children of your own, one of the most beautiful things about Kwanzaa is that this is a reminder that we are all responsible for each other. And so the request is that you put 2 ears of corn symbolically, because you are responsible for the village's children. So everyone, regardless of whether there are young children in the home, grown children, no children, whatever the adopted children, whatever the case may be, you place 2 ears of corn that are representative of all the children in the community. Isn't that beautiful? I get choked up. Kikombe cha umoja. This is one of my favorites to say. The kikombe cha umoja. This is the unity cup. It symbolizes the very first principle of Kwanzaa, unity in the family and of the African people. This is also the cup that we use to pour libation, which can be water or juice, or my personal favorite, wine, okay, for family and friends. There, again, let's harken back to 2020, friends. It was not wise for us to for everybody to drink out of the same cup. It probably still is not wise for everybody to drink out of the same cup. Between my husband and I, and maybe even my daughter, I don't know, she leaves crumbs in the juice when she drinks your stuff. So maybe not her. But in your closed circle, you can make a decision about that. Again, that's the modern context and the fresh viewpoint that I sought after in the book and in my research. So you don't have to share the cup. What I chose to do is to symbolically pour for each member into their own vessel. And then we all waited for each other and took our sip together. And then also, libation is always poured by the elder or by the person responsible in the home, right? We don't let the little ones pour libation. They can light the candles, but we don't let the little ones pour libation, right? That's for grown folks, okay? Here's another zawadi. Zawadi. So these are gifts that are representative of the labors and the parents and the rewards of their children. Okay. This is not Christmas. It is not that PlayStation 17 that little boo boo wants. That is not what this is. Okay. It is not the cell phone and the whatever else that Lakiki and them want. This is a gift that is handmade, okay, typically by the giver, but also if you know of a really fabulous Black or African descended or African artisan, then you go to them and you have something made. It is symbolic of culture. It is symbolic of heritage. It is a piece of African clothing. It's an amazing head wrap, some gorgeous, like door knocker size fabric covered earrings, or a wood carved earring, right? These are books. These are educational in nature, cultural in nature. one that always kind of stuck out to me was when Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater was coming to my hometown. That was one of the Zawadi given to me. I had worked hard in dance class, and as a reward, my parents bought tickets for me to go and see Alvin Ailey every year that they came. And that is the kind of connection and symbolism that we need the Zawadi to be connected to. Again, not just running to the store and grabbing that thing that they said they wanted that they didn't get for Christmas from somebody else. You really want to program it carefully. Here is a picture of what that might look like when you have put this together. Keep in mind, your candles need to be on the correct side. Your candles need to be reflected correctly. The fresh fruit is there. The gifts are there. It's placed on a beautiful mat. It does not need to be complicated. This does not have to be fancy. You can probably grab these things quickly and inexpensively from even somewhere like the Dollar Tree. I did that last year. I was really creative and I found all the things that I needed. And that was kind of a challenge for me. Can I get everything out of the Dollar Tree? I did. For less than $25, I set my altar last year right out of the Dollar Tree. You can also decide to make the investment and go on Amazon or Etsy and find Black artisans who are making or crafting these things and make an investment for your family to have a special heirloom every year. Now, following those 7 days and 7 symbols, there are 7 principles of Kwanzaa. They are called the Nguzo Saba. The Nguzo Saba. That's a key Swahili word. All of these words are key Swahili. And it is the principles are directly related to the symbols and directly related to the founding of Kwanzaa. I'm looking at this slide and discovering that I didn't put on there what I thought I put on there, but that's all right. The first principle of Kwanzaa is umoja, unity. Okay. It means to strive for and maintain unity in the family, community, nation, and race. This one is the first principle for a reason. All the other principles will circle back around to the need for us to be together, to be unified. Kujichagulia. Shout that one time. Hey, Kujichagulia. Self-determination. It means to define ourselves, name ourselves, create for ourselves, and speak for ourselves. This one is critical to us understanding. You guys remember, well, you may not remember. Let me not put that on you. But if you think back, there was a time when African American people were referred to as Negro. People began to say, I don't like being called Negro. Please refer to me as African American, or please refer to me as Black, right? I personally prefer to identify as Black. I feel like that says it. It's straight to the point. It is what it is. Personally, I prefer Black. I know lots of people who prefer African American. I have some friends who prefer of color, person of color. But I always choose to yield to what people prefer to be called. I always defer to that. Earlier, when I said I call myself a cultural creative, I made that up and I named myself that. And that is how I operate in the world. To create for ourselves and speak for ourselves, I feel like that, again, speaks back to our allies. It's one of the principles that allows us to not just ask for a handout all the time or not just be given things all the time, right? If you will help to get out of the way, there are a lot of things that we can claim for ourselves and achieve for ourselves. But there are some roadblocks and barriers that only our allies can name and can address. And so the concept of Kujichagulia, self-determination, is absolutely critical. Ujima is collective work and responsibility to maintain and build our community together and make our brothers and sisters' problems our problems and to solve them together, right? Not just being a think for yourself, but being considerate of your brother, right? He's not heavy, he's my brother. I am my brother's keeper. All of those things come to mind when we think about this particular principle. Ujamaa is cooperative economics, to build and maintain our own stores, shops, and other businesses and to profit from them together, right? We think about the circulation of the Black dollar. Um, Black people spending money with Black people, right? But also, my friends, the allies, spending their money also with Black businesses, right? And to be able to build and maintain our own shops and stores. We had Black Wall Streets throughout this nation where people could live literally cradle to grave. Everything you needed from the moment you were born all the way through your transition to the ancestral grounds could be covered by someone who owned a Black business. There was a Black tailor, there was a Black doctor, there was a Black butcher, there was a Black dressmaker. You could find everything that you needed. There was a Black college. There were all things Black. And you had the opportunity to support your own communities in that way. With the institution of segregation, having being able to and having the need to spread out and expend our Black dollars elsewhere had a significant impact. And so just sort of being mindful of supporting Black businesses, especially woman-owned Black businesses or Black businesses owned by mommies, right, is really important for us to have our eye towards, and this principle reminds us of that. Nia is purpose. It's not just a sweet name for a baby girl. Nia means purpose, to make our collective vocation the building and developing of our community in order to restore our people to their traditional greatness. Knowing and understanding our Black history, knowing and understanding African national history is key to understanding our purpose and to setting a purpose for yourself. When young people know and understand their purpose, they're unstoppable. What they will achieve and what they will do to achieve greatness is you just wouldn't even fathom it when you can point them in the right direction and know that they understand their purpose. Kuumba is one of my favorites, creativity. But this means more than just singing and dancing and painting. This is to do always as much as we can in the way we can in order to leave our community more beautiful and beneficial than we inherited it. When you think about creativity, yes, we think about the visual arts, we think about the performing arts, but how can we be creative about the problem solving? How can we be creative in our communities about achieving the things that need to get done? How can we think differently? How can we think outside the box about making sure that our kids have what they need and therefore they can achieve what they want to? We've got to embrace creativity as a more well-rounded, more full concept than just, like I said, singing and dancing and acting. And then the seventh principle is Imani, also a beautiful name for a little girl, faith. To believe with all our heart in our people, our parents, our teachers, our leaders, and the righteousness and victory of our struggle. To believe in yourself is one thing, but to believe in your brother and sister and to believe that they are struggling for something greater than just their own victory, right? The victory of our people. To know and understand that everything that we go through is for a purpose, is for a reason, and not for no good reason, right? Knowing and understanding that our faith will not only sustain us, but propel us into our desired future. Okay. These ancient African principles and ways of life provide the basis for the holiday and give us the framework for our day-to-day living as well. Here is a big earth-shattering realization that I came to. Kwanzaa is not for 7 days, it's for every day. Kwanzaa is not just for 7 days, it's for every day. There's 7 principles, but they last a lifetime. If you will look at and review and revisit and honor these principles on a day-to-day basis, you will find that your life will improve. It will change. All right, friends, we've got one more big section to cut through. I want you to hang in there with me. If you're multitasking, these 7 pillars are, again, earth-shattering because they are simply who and how we function culturally. I was like, there's a name for that? I'm about to give you the names for all the things that you're like, oh yeah, well, that's just what Black people do. I'm going to give you the names for them. It's amazing. Okay. In gathering, we come together in fellowship. Kwanzaa is not to be celebrated in isolation. You don't get by yourself and off to a quiet corner and light your candle and sit and think. It's for everybody. You come together and you discuss these ideas. You allow the kids to do little skits or scenes or sing a song or recite a poem or read something. You know, it's for everybody to come together. We get together in fellowship. Think about homecoming. HBCU homecoming is a whole other level thing, right? Because we get together. We function in community and in fellowship. Reverence, honoring the creator and all that has been created. Okay. We have a concept of something greater than ourselves. And we are grounded in that concept of something greater than ourselves, right? Every thug I know knows to take his hat off when it's time to pray. You can say what you want, but there are certain things that are ingrained in us as understandings. These are those pillars. These are those pillars. Commemoration. Remember the past and honor those who came before us. One of the things that I hear that is a misconception of Kwanzaa is, oh, well, y'all worship y'all ancestors. No, we remember them. We call out their names and we call out their sacrifices, and we are clear about how they have impacted our lives and the sacrifices that they have made along the way. But we commemorate them, right? It is not about worship. It is not about ancestral worship. It is simply recognizing those who have come before us and have carved a path. Recommitment. We promise to revisit the best practices of our community, right? You've heard that phrase. So if it was good enough for mama, it was good enough. It was good enough for my grandmama, right? We know what works in our communities. We have seen it. We know we returned to protesting in 2020 for a reason, because we've seen it work. We know it was effective, right? Recommitment to the things that we know work, revisiting those practices for the benefit of our community. This is the one. Celebration. We like to party. There's not a whole lot more to be said about that. I've never ever seen a sad Kwanzaa celebration. It just doesn't happen. We get together and we are going to have something good to eat. We're just going to have some music playing in the background. There's going to be a lot going on, but we like to party. Education. You all are getting an education right now, right? Anytime that we think about these 7 symbols, these 7 principles, these 7 pillars, when we think about the past, there is education that is happening, even if it's not coming from a formal book. We are learning from what our elders are telling us. We're learning from what our ancestors did for us. We are passing that information generationally down so that the next generation will have an even wider knowledge base and be able to act on it. Sustainability. This is okay. So you know how some people's mamas and grandmamas will wash off the tinfoil and use it again, or wash off the paper plates, or the that is their concept of sustainability. It's not for nothing. I'm telling you, these are the pillars that are within us. We don't always have a name for it. You do now, but we did it, right? Sustainability, ensuring that our practices are not going to harm the earth for our children or for our children's children. Everything that we have and enjoy, trees and fresh air and sunshine, we want to make sure that our children and our children's children also have that. If we don't take care of the earth, that won't happen. So sustainability is something, you like my dad. Oh my goodness. My dad has this amazing quilt that his mother made for him out of all of his old t-shirts. That was before the people online were selling t-shirt quilts. She got all the shirts together and cut them up and hand stitched them and backed them with some lovely and it has become a family heirloom, right? It is a precious item for our family. Sustainability, that is something that has been ingrained in us all along. All of these green people and green earth stuff, and that's something we've been doing for forever. These 7 principles don't stand alone. They are supported by these pillars. They are equally important and equally ancient ways of living. All right, y'all, we have circled back around to the beginning. I'm going to stop sharing and come back to you guys on the other side. I am so excited that I was able to spend just a few moments with you guys. I have a few asks of you as we close out. As we go forward with 4 minutes to spare, 4 minutes on the clock, I want you guys to do just a couple of things for me. I want you to pay attention for the email that's coming out. Okay. The email that goes out after tonight's webinar will have the replay, so that if you have a friend who you're like, girl, this was so good, you missed it, you really need to get this information, you'll be able to forward this to them, right? Number 1. Number 2, the link that I'm going to send you is going to have the slide deck attached, so that you'll be able to review the slide deck. And it will also have some links and some additional resources as your special gift for attending in real time. I am going to give you a copy of the Kwanzaa coloring book that I developed. It's so cute, y'all. It features all 7 of the symbols and principles of Kwanzaa, outlined with some really great graphics, so that you can use them in your classroom. You can use them with your children. You can use them with community centers. You can use them with friends and family. If you are personally a colorer, that's me. I picked coloring book because I love coloring books myself. If you love coloring, then you can go in and just sit quietly and meditate. While you listen to the replay, you can color in your sheets, have a good time. But I want to give that to you all as a special gift for showing up for me. I do not take it lightly that you've spent an hour of your evening with me. I do not take it for granted. And I appreciate you. I appreciate your time and your attention. I'm so grateful that you guys are here. And you guys will be hearing more, because the other big surprise is that the streaming 7-night event is coming back. We're going to do Kwanzaa Live again. I'm so excited. My guest speakers are responding and scheduling, and we're getting all of that stuff ready. I will be reproducing the 7-night streaming extravaganza from 2020. In the email that you get, you will also get the highlights and the replays from that adventure from it's been 3 years. Can y'all imagine? It's been 3 years. We have not stopped celebrating Kwanzaa. We just didn't put it on the live stream when we did it. So you will be getting that information. Friends, again, I want to thank you so much for spending just a few minutes with me. I love you. I am so excited and looking forward to this season. You guys are going to get all your stuff together and be ready to celebrate Kwanzaa with us, so that we can do it again in community as part of this beloved community. Just by showing up tonight, you have become family. And I am super duper excited that we're going to do this together. Happy Kwanzaa, y'all. Habari Gani. The news is Kwanzaa. See y'all. Take care.